All right, Shalom Yasha. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha Kodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Lord willing, it's edifying to the elect, whoever they may be. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, the leaders of all Israelites in these end times, showing us the correct way to salvation. Shalom to you, Akwaf, in order. You may be listening. Shalom means peace be unto you. Okay, you Akwaf. And, that's talking about the Israelite sisters. And shalom to you brothers on the highways and hedges, teaching this gospel in all sincerity and in truth, giving up your body as a living sacrifice. And shalom to you speckled birds that may look like these other nations, but seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making you a Hebrew Israelite, regardless of your color, because it never been about color. All right, so shalom to you, whoever you may be. Now, I came across this video here. I'm subscribed to this guy, and I don't watch his videos very often, but I watched one earlier today, and I thought I'll do a lesson on it because a lot of things he said, I got scriptures I can pull out on, and it basically further proves that everything we're seeing play out in the world today is prophetic. The Bible prophesied of this a long time ago, showing that the Bible is undefeated, man. The Bible is 100% correct, 100% true, and everything in the Bible will come to pass as it's written, and it is, and it's our job that understand the scriptures to bring this out to you and show you exactly what's playing out and where it's mentioned in the Bible, okay? Because this will increase your faith if you can receive it. It will increase your faith in the Lord, which you're going to need to stock up on. You're going to need to stock up your spiritual bank account. You're going to need to stock up on things like faith, okay, in order to make it through the times we're coming into, okay? Because it's going to get rough, all right? And if you don't have faith in the Lord, you're screwed. So that's why we do these lessons, to show you how much you can trust in the Lord's word. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this, and I'm going to stop it here and there, maybe speak on it or bring out precepts.
Entire world is right now. How apparently none of the channels out there, including the mainstream media, are willing to warn you about just how our entire world is right now. How fragile the global pharmaceutical industry has become.
It's Esau's world that's effed. Ours is coming. It's the end of Esau's world. Let's go ahead and start with that. It's lucky I had this the right way up, but now it's decided to play games with me. Let's go to the book of let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. Right, 2nd Ezra 6, and starting at 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part and asunder of the times? Okay, from when the Lord returns, that's the part and asunder of the times. It's going to go straight from Esau's world to Jacob's world, okay? Right now we're living in Esau's world. Esau is our evil twin brother. You can read that story in Genesis chapter 25 and verse 19 on down. And that's when the so-called white man came to the earth. The so-called white people are biblically known as the Edomites. And this is their world. The Edomites are Esau, Edom, okay? And they're the current rulers of this world, although I must say that, this isn't necessarily about color, because most of the so-called white people can be identified or can be known as the Edomites, but you do have some among them whose seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not Esau, okay? So you do have a few Edomites or so-called white people out there, Caucasians, that are Israelites. I just need to clear that up. It's very important for you to understand that. But what we're coming into is the end of Esau's kingdom, the so-called white man's, and the beginning of Jacob's, which is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And it states it right here in the scriptures. That's why that man that I just showed you, he was saying that, you know, his world is falling apart. The whole world is falling apart. Really, it's their world, okay? And it mentions it right here. So it says in book 2 Ezra 6, starting at 7, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And that's what everyone wants to know. When's the end of the world? But what people don't understand is that it's not the end of the world, as in the world blowing up and we all go extinct. It's the end of Esau's rulership. And, you know, our forefathers, one of them being Ezra, as we're reading right now, he understood this. He understood that it's the transfer of rulership. Now we got the slave masters fighting each other in this World War III that's brewing up, until the day that they ultimately take each other out with those destructive weapons that they have created. So it says in verse 8, And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. And that was very significant, that event. It doesn't mention it in the book of Genesis chapter 27 and verse 19 on down, when this actually occurred. It doesn't mention that, but it, you know, backs it up here in the book of 2 Ezra chapter 6, and it tells you why Jacob held on to Esau's heel when the twins were born, because it was very symbolic. It says, For Esau, in verse 9, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the current ruler at the end of the world. So anybody that tries to tell you that the so-called white people are Japheth, or Japheth is the rulers of the world, they're lying, man. Okay, because the Bible specifically says right here, and this is a clear cut, that Esau is the end of the world. Okay, Esau is the one ruling this current system, this wicked beast system, with their plans of total world domination through their NWO agenda, man. And they are the end of the world, the ones destroying the world, and Jacob is going to be the beginning of it that followeth, meaning the new heavens and the new earth, the new rulership, the kingdom of heaven. Let's go back to this video.
Iran just attacked the Teva pharmaceutical supply outlet. This was the largest producer of generic medication in the world.
Woo! Do you know how devastating that's gonna be? You know, this war is not dying down anytime soon. There ain't no peace. People are gonna seek peace, and there's gonna be no peace. This ain't the time of peace. Right now, everything seems normal. You can go walk your dog. Okay, gas prices petrol prices are a tiny bit higher, but it's still affordable, isn't it? Just wait for it, man. Just wait for it. It's gonna get ugly out here, man. Okay, listen to what this guy says about this pharmaceutical factory that was blown up. Let me run it back.
And just attacked the Teva pharmaceutical supply outlet. This was the largest producer of generic medication in the world. Ooh. Initial reports indicate that there were immediate chemical leaks, immediate secondary explosions. The facility up in flames. This is not just another factory. This is the cornerstone of modern medicine and medicine availability. Teva supplies generic drugs to almost every nation on this planet. These are not small products. These include treatments for cancer, treatments for heart disease, antibiotics, respiratory illnesses, steroids, neurological conditions, and the hospitals around the United States of America rely on these medications. There's no backup. There's nobody coming to the aid. The United States of America is about to begin to suffer. What?
And I've got a scripture for that, okay? Because like I said, man, everything going on in the world right now is prophetic. Okay? This is a very ugly time we're living in. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And I'm going to start at verse 9. No, I'm going to start at verse 8. There's so much on here I could bring out. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 8. It says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. You know, this world with the LGBTQ, all of that madness, that confusion, right? The pro-abortion rallies, people crying because they can't murder their children and stuff like that. You know, it's just completely backwards. Everyone's mistaken wickedness for righteousness. And the world is anti-Messiah, man, at the end of the day. So the Lord ain't holding his tongue no more, he's saying. You know, for a long time, the Lord has been long-suffering with us, been patient with us. And now, it's the time of the Lord's judgment. The Lord is going to bring judgment upon this world for its wickedness, right? It says, Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually, you know? We're out here on the highways and hedges and on the internet constantly complaining about this world, man, and this devil, how he's jacking everything up, making life unbearable, man. Okay, every aspect of society and this life is ruined. You know, he hasn't left a stone unturned. He's divided us in every way possible, destroyed the family structure, destroyed the educational system, destroyed the news, the information. Man, it's crazy. Every aspect of society is just jacked up under this man's rule. You can't catch a break. Everybody's stressed out, on anxiety, on medications, working 9 to 5s, a couple of them. Crazy, man. So the souls of the just are complaining continually. The Lord is hearing the prayers of his saints, and he's going to rise up and take action now, which is what you're seeing him doing. That's why he's stirring up World War III, man. And then it says in verse 9, 2nd Ezra 15 and 9, and therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. And that's talking about the Israelites. Okay? That's the only people he's concerned about. It's the only people he cares about. Okay? Read 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 54 on down. All you other nations are counted as spit to the Lord. Okay? Read it and weep. It says, Behold, my people, right? The Israelites, the only people he cares about. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Because we were taken against our will, man. And now we got to come over here. We got to live amongst these devils, working their jobs, walking on eggshells. Last hired, first fired, right? Got to straighten our hair and, you know, wear a suit and tie and all that, talk like them. Make them feel as comfortable as possible in order to even get one of their slave jobs. And then you got to work a slave job and you got to pay for a vehicle to get you to that slave job. You're literally working for free, man. You're working to keep a roof over your head, which should be standard. You don't have ends meet, most of us, man. You know? So we're led as a flock to the slaughter. These devils are leading us to our destruction, okay? And we've been taken against our will and having to live around these people, man, and live according to their way of life. It's disgusting when you see things for what it really is, and you should be angry, man. It says, Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Egypt is talking about America. It ain't talking about ancient Egypt. We were in captivity under Pharaoh in ancient Egypt, but this is the modern day Egypt, the spiritual Egypt, which is America. Okay? So the Lord is saying he's now gonna rise up on our behalf. That's why you're seeing everything spiraling out of control in the world, okay? But ultimately, it's not going to hurt us. It's going to hurt them and anybody that's down with them, okay? You have to be among the congregation of the living in order to be protected from this time, because it's a great time for us and a bad time for them that reject Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, which is a lot of our people, man. It says, in verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, meaning as ancient Egypt when we were under Pharaoh, proving that this is spiritual Egypt, because he says he will smite America, Egypt, modern day Egypt, with plagues as before, meaning as he did in ancient Egypt by the hand of Moses. He says, and will destroy all the land thereof. And we know that Babylon the Great, aka America, has many names for America in the Bible, one of them being Egypt. We know, according to the scriptures, that America is going to be turned into a desert. It's going to be turned into a desolate wasteland by thermonuclear missiles, okay? That's why it says that he will destroy Egypt, the whole land thereof. Was ancient Egypt's whole land destroyed? No. It wasn't. It's still there today. You can still go visit. They got McDonald's and all of that over there now. You know what I mean? Been westernized as hell. But yeah, so we're getting to the point, because let me just remind you of what this guy said.
For heart disease, antibiotics, respiratory illnesses, steroids, neurological conditions, and the hospitals around the United States of America rely on these medications. There's no backup. There's nobody coming to the aid. The United States of America is about to begin to suffer.
See? So the pharmaceutical situation is going to cause a lot of Americans to suffer. Let's read this. 2nd Ezra 15 and 12. Egypt, a.k.a. America, a.k.a. Babylon the Great. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. So all this that's happening in the world and in America is the plagues of the Lord. The Lord did this, okay? So when they're in church talking about God is love, God is good all the time, they don't know what listen, man, Christians ain't got it. They ain't got the answers. They never had the truth. You have to cleave to the prophets that were sent in order for you to be delivered from these plagues, man, that are coming. Okay, the Lord is about to destroy this place, and he always gives people our people a fair way out, a fair way of being delivered, because he's righteous in all that he does. So why would he not offer you a way of escape? You know? But we're showing you the way to escape. Cleaving to the prophets that the Lord sent, man. Listening to the words of the Lord coming through his prophets, man. They're bringing you the truth, not Christianity played out. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful consolation. So yeah, man. I'm gonna leave that there as far as them scriptures go, okay? Because the farming industry is through. You know what I mean? You got Bill Gates taking over all the farmland and privatizing the farming industry, and trying to change the whole way of the farming industry. He wants to do away with cows. He says they burp too much, you know. But also you got natural disasters like hurricanes and things like that and droughts and floods that are causing the farming industry to be smitten, okay? That's part of the plagues. And the farmers are having a rough time. You got farmer suicides through the roof right now, man. But anyway, let's get back to this.
Nobody coming to the aid. The United States of America is about to begin to suffer. What we've seen happening is the setup for production halts. Supply chain strengthening is unavoidable. We will not see any country able to do anything but stockpile existing medicine. This means that your doctor's office is about to be told to supply less prescriptions. Tighten the reasoning and maybe take grandma off of a heart medication or off of a certain respiratory illness medication. Take a child off of rheumatoid arthritis steroids. Folks, this is about to be bad. In one single night, we see.
So, Iran has bombed this major pharmaceutical producing factory, which is described as the cornerstone of pharmaceuticals in the whole world. The cornerstone represents the foundation. So, this is going to majorly affect the prices and the availability, the supply chain of pharmaceuticals across the globe, okay? And the world is going to suffer, especially America, because Americans are very high consumers of pharmaceuticals. And a lot of people are dependent on these pharmaceuticals. A lot of people will die from this, man, because a lot of people already can barely afford pharmaceuticals. I've seen crash out videos where women talk about how the price of certain prescriptions have gone up that they need for their certain loved one, grandma or whatever, to survive. How are they going to survive now? I can't afford it. And I've seen crash out videos, man. This is going to make it way worse. So this war is going to creep up. It's going to keep, the evils are going to keep increasing. And life is just going to be even more unbearable than it already is. You're going to see self-deletion rates skyrocket, man. Okay? Because people are not going to be able to handle the pressure. Okay?
The entire medication industry completely up in flames. Now, the developments in Iran in the past several hours have pointed to a significant escalation in both military posturing and the conflict that is coming. Approximately 50 to 60,000 U.S. troops are now sitting inside of the region. According to major media outlets, they are in noticeable levels that are far above typical wartime levels. President Donald Trump has publicly stated that the priority of the United States of America is to secure Iran's oil, not just the Strait of Hormuz, but the oil of that entire country. He specifically referenced Karg Island. We talked about this before. That's a critical oil export hub responsible for the vast majority of the oil shipments. There are now reports that are indicating that several hundred elite forces, including U.S. Army Rangers, including Navy SEALs, are deployed possibly already inside of Iran. But there's no clear definition of how they're going to act to take the enriched uranium. Now, Iran has said, bring them on. They'll meet fire, they will meet hellstone. Now, Iran is prepared for a long, drawn-out ground war fight. This is going to be worse than Iraq and Afghanistan because the Iranians have learned exactly how you pin down modern U.S. military forces in a Middle Eastern fight. The one caveat that we have is that we took Iran's cheap one-way attack drone. We started manufacturing it here inside and for the United States of America, and we're going to begin using these to target on-the-ground facilities. These can be launched from all allied countries that are around the nation of Iran. Now, the USS Tripoli, that is an amphibious vehicle carrying 3,500 Marines, arrived at a platform that is typically used for rapid response inside of the area. Iranian officials have said that any U.S. ground invasion will lead to the targeting of Americans and the targeting of American assets all across the world.
If you've got kids under 16 in the UK, please listen to this. What would happen to your family if your income just stopped tomorrow?
Targeting of American assets all across.
Slack you for that. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue playing.
The world. The International Atomic Energy Agency, and that's kind of the blanket agency that you look to when you're trying to find out whether there's been a radiological leak or a nuke plant was hit. They confirmed that there was complete destruction of Iran's Kondab heavy water reactor. This is a significant development because it housed plutonium. We see oil prices continuing to increase. In fact, from Florida to Alabama, you're looking at $5.50 for diesel. You're looking at $4.45 for the lowest grade of gasoline. We are expected to see another increase this week, and I'm going to remind you that this is manufacturers and retailers inside of the USA completely taking advantage of this situation. The gas that's going into your vehicle right now was purchased cheaper, processed cheaper, and delivered cheaper to the gas stations. So why we don't have the administration putting a lock on them increasing prices just because they want more money before they expect supply chains to tighten up, well, that I'm not sure of.
Yeah, what they're doing, they're adding a certain chemical into the fuel supply to stretch it, to thin it out, which what they're adding to the fuel makes the fuel burn quicker, right? So it's kind of like shrinkflation in a way, you know, like how they'll keep the price the same, but the product size will be smaller, like a chocolate bar or something in the shops, or you know, a box of cereal, maybe slightly smaller, but the price is the same. It's called shrinkflation. It's kind of what they're doing with the petrol right now, to try and keep some kind of stability, but they ain't gonna be able to keep that up forever, and this is gonna have a devastating impact on, you know, people's engines and stuff, because what they're adding to the fuel system, it gunks up the engine and the pistons and stuff like that, man, and it causes it to have some kind of blue gunk, if I remember correctly. I came across a clip, Lord willing I'll find it and bring it out.
The federal government just confirmed that they are about to start diluting your gasoline this May. So basically, the EPA just announced that starting on May the 1st, gas stations across the country can sell E15 fuel nationwide. If you're somebody that doesn't know what E15 fuel is, it's gasoline that's cut with 15% ethanol instead of just the usual 10. And you literally cannot make this up right now, because they are calling it fortifying the domestic fuel supply, which is a really weird way to say that you're just going to be adding more corn juice to people's gas.
The EPA has issued emergency waivers for gasoline blends like E15.
Now this is why it actually matters to you, because ethanol has less energy than regular gasoline, so your car gets worse fuel economy on E15. The entire point of this is that you might be saving about 25 cents per gallon at the pump, but you're burning through it faster, so obviously the savings just cancels itself out. But this is the part that genuinely nobody's talking about, because the EPA normally bans E15 during the summer because ethanol evaporates faster in heat and creates more smog. They explicitly know this, but they just decided to waive their own rule that they made anyways, because gas prices are high right now and people are angry. And if you're somebody that owns an older car, a lawnmower, a boat, or a chainsaw, they're saying to be careful because E15 can mess up those engines. So they're making your gas cheaper by just making it worse. Is that even surprising at this point?
But yeah, you know, this is what they're doing to try to stabilize the fuel costs, which, you know, is cheating basically, and it's going to have a impact on people's cars, man.
You see notable large-scale financial positioning in multiple energy markets and the greater economy. This is prior to recent political statements that are made public now that raise questions about the anticipatory events that are going to happen in the next couple of weeks. The Pentagon evaluated the deployment of an additional 10,000 ground troops. This further signals that military involvement is not just going to be a long-standing position in this war, but it's also going to increase. Now, folks, here in the United States of America, we have a lot going on. I want to get right to it, including some of the posts that we are seeing. This is close-up footage of the hull breach of a Russian gas carrier. Now, while they're telling you to drink out of paper straws and don't drive because your carbon footprint is too large, I'm going to remind you that they're bombing chemical facilities and putting gas into the ocean all across the world under the claim that it's necessary for geopolitical benefit.
So basically, this war is destroying the earth, man. So these heathen, this is why the Lord counts them as spittle. As I said in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 54 on down, the Lord don't care about these nations, because look how they're governing the earth, man. And this is part of the reason why the Lord is going to destroy them. Let's turn to it, because this is all happening under Esau's watch. He's the ruler of the world, and he's destroying the earth, man. Okay, so the Lord is about to destroy them. Let's see if we can find it. I think it's... Here we go. Let's start with this one, and I got another one in mind I want to bring out. This is Revelations chapter 11 and verse 18. It says, and the nations were angry, right? Which is why they're fighting right now, world war. Because Esau and them small hats and fake JEWs then stirred up an anthill, and it's only going to get worse, and everybody's going to suffer. So the nations are angry. You got worldwide protests. I mean, the signs are there, right? This is where we're at. And this represents the time of the Lord's return. So it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. The wrath means the day of judgment, the day of the Lord. Okay? When the Lord puts it on the heart of these world leaders to launch their nukes back and forth, mainly at America. Okay? And to destroy Esau's civilization. And thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged. Okay? Because the dead in Yahushua are going to be raised first. Okay, and we're entering into the day of judgment, man. For everything that people have done in their flesh. It says, and thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, which is everlasting life and rulership and slaves and the kingdom and all the perks that come with that, right? And to his saints, which are Israelites, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, right? It says, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth, okay? Now, who's the manager of the earth, first of all? That's Esau, Edom, okay? The scriptures say in Job 9:24 that the earth is given. Oh, that's 34. Job 9:24. It says that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So we all know that the so-called white man is the one calling the shots in the world right now. They could put their military bases in your country and control the the world central banking system. They can lock down the whole world and say there's a pandemic and all that. Put your mask on. These people are the ones spraying the chemtrails around the world. That's the wicked, okay, which is a particular nation. The Bible calls it the nation of Edom. The Edomites, starting with their elites, okay, they are the wicked of the Bible because the earth is given into their hand to fulfill prophecy. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So the true prophets, Yahushua, the saints, all of that, man, all the biblical characters, basically, they whitewashed and through a process called iconoclasm, and they painted over the images, man, and made the likeness of their images. So they covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So who is the wicked if it ain't the so-called white man? Starting with their elites. Who is the wicked of the earth? These are the ones ruling the earth, and these are the ones destroying the earth. Okay? Now, there's one more scripture I want to bring out. There we go. There we go. Sirach 10. And starting at 3. An unwise king destroyeth his people. So that's currently Donald Trump. He's the unwise king of Babylon the Great, aka America. Right? And also ultimately he's talking about Esau, Edom. as a whole. These rulers of the earth, they're destroyed because the earth is mourning right now under their rule, man. No one's happy. They've destroyed their people because they're unwise king. They're children of fools, pursuant to Job chapter 30. It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And verse 4 is the point. It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. That's why he gave it into the hand of the wicked, the so-called white man, to fulfill prophecy. They're not ruling because they're the right rulers for the earth, or because they earn their way to the top because they're just so superior. In fact, it's quite the contrary, man. These people are known as the basest of men, okay? It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. And we read the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 9, where it says that Esau is the end of the world. He's that unprofitable one. And it says that Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, meaning that the Israelites are getting ready to rule the world next, okay, pursuant to prophecy, man. And that's the one that is profitable, ultimately starting with Yahweh Shai, our Lord and Savior, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, okay? So let's go back to this video, play a bit more.
This is not going to stop. A mysterious surge of fireballs that have been seen across the United States of America recently. Now, here is what I have to tell you. This should be breaking news all across the country, because I'm starting to watch open source intelligence operatives that have said there is a non-disclosure agreement or a position that has been put out by the U.S. government, and what is actually happening will blow your mind, but it'll make sense as soon as you hear me say it.
So I've been giving up smoking a vape now for around
Shut
7 months.
But it'll make sense as soon as you hear me say it. The US government, China, and Russia are quite possibly engaged in a shadow satellite fight. You'll remember that we have been years beyond the point that they have said China and Russia have put out suicide satellites all across our orbit, and those satellites are meant to crash into and cause destruction, including lasers that are used and small projectiles used to cause our satellites that are used for military and civilian use to crash and go out of orbit. So what if these fireballs that we are seeing streak all across the American skyline, what if they're actually part of a larger space war that is happening right now? What's the end game? Well, eventually, no more GPS, no space-to-ground communication. That knocks out military capability. It knocks out civilian usage. They will convert all existing satellites to the U.S. military and the U.S. government use in a certain amount of time. Maybe this is why there was such a push for Elon Musk to put up thousands and thousands of satellites to pretty much blanket the entire world, so that the U.S. military could gain some superiority here inside of this. So maybe that is actually what's happening.
Okay,
Space war that is happening right now. What's the end game?
Anyway, so I'm gonna leave it there, man. You know, he doesn't say much else. But concerning those satellites in the sky, right when I want to do a lesson, the devil comes and tries to disrupt me, man. It's freaking amazing, the timing. But anyway, let's read the book of Obadiah, because the scriptures speak about how they got their satellites in the sky, okay? It says, Obadiah 1 starting at 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Okay, meaning insignificant. It says, thou art greatly despised. So the Edomites, the so-called white man, is becoming greatly despised in the world, because everyone sees that they're just a bunch of weirdos, freaks, pedophiles, perverts, and they're proud and arrogant as hell, and they're destructive and violent as hell. Everything's coming out on these devils, man. The internet is not working in their favor. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, you know, because they came from the caves. Okay, that's why it says that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. You can read Like I said earlier, the book of Job, chapter 30, breaks down how they came from the cavemen and they were known as children of fools, a foolish nation of people. But their pride has deceived them. It says, whose habitation is high, it says, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? This is the pride of the Edomite. They think that no one can take them out of power. They always think that they're going to be in power, man. But they're deceived. It says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right, which is their symbol, their emblem of pride, okay, which is a bird of prey. That's been their symbol throughout the ages. When you talk about the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, the Germans, there's many countries that, describe that, exalt themselves as the eagle. Okay, you can just look at the American flag, and they got that eagle, the bald eagle, as a representation of America. Okay, this gives you a clue as to who this is talking about. It's talking about Esau, Edom, the rulers of the world, the so-called white man, the ones that are destroying the earth. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, see, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. So they set their nest among the stars. The nest is talking about their space-based weapons and their satellites and things like that. So, I think they just launched a missile, some rocket into space yesterday on the day of Passover, which we're in the first day of Passover today. We're in the Passover and the first day of the unleavened bread, the Feast of Unleavened Bread today. But these small hats just so happen to this year be keeping it on the same day as us. So, because they don't always keep it on the same day. But they just so happen to be this year, which I find very symbolic. Okay, I think this means that something major's about to go down. Something major always happens after Passover. But you normally see a lot of people get sifted after Passover, I've noticed. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, they launched a rocket into space yesterday on Passover, of all days, coincidental, quote unquote. And the Lord said he's going, though they set their space-based weapons and their satellites in the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh, because the Lord is getting ready to take them out of power. Okay, they know they don't have long left to rule, pursuant to a biblical prophecy. Let's bring out one more and we'll close it out. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. You all should know this. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, meaning us of the hopeful elect. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, you people of the world. It says, for the devil, which is Esau, Edom, devil just means deceiver. He's the one that covered the faces of the judges thereof, as we read in Job 9:24. They deceive the whole world in many ways. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So these Edomites know that their time is almost up. That's why they're making major moves and their hand is forced. They're doing a lot of things that, out of impulse, out of desperation, because they know that they don't have long left to rule and they have to pull off this NWO agenda. So we can expect them to bust out the microchip, meaning the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. We can expect that at any moment, because they got to get this ball rolling. It's their last hope in being able to maintain their rulership in the earth, man. It's their last hope. But it's gonna fail, Scriptures speak about how, I said that will be the last precept, but you know how the Spirit works. Let's bring this out, right? Job chapter 5 and 12. It says, he disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So, ultimately this is talking about Esau, Edom, man. He disappoints, because they're the crafty, they're the deceivers, man. They're the serpent, the subtle serpent in the garden, man. Which, subtle is another word for another definition of being crafty. So these people are crafty as hell, and they've deceived the whole world. So the Lord's saying here that he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. Job is saying this about the Lord, that he disappoints their devices, you know, their plans of their new world order agenda, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, which is their new world order agenda, okay? Their beast system. So they're not going to fulfill, you know, their goal of world domination. All right? It's over for these devils, man. So I thought I'd drop this quick lesson, and Lord willing, you found it edifying, okay? If you have any questions, come in the comment board respectfully, and I will be sure to answer you. All right, so on that note, I'm gonna close it out here. I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Racha Kodash Shalom.